on, Foxy. It's your birthday. Not for real, just for play. This is Cree Summer, and Moana Nui will be right back.
We'll be here shortly, but we're going to get going. This is Sanford's on the clock. But thank you both for coming to take me off of Rocketship Entertainment.
You guys survived.
Late Saturday evening. Everyone's had a good con, and less than mine. So we're going to go through some projects, some things we have coming up, get some audience questions, and let's kick this off. I want to introduce our panelists first. To my immediate left, three-time Eisner winner? Two. Let's give you the third.
You gave it third. You spoke it into existence. 2025. My project for this guy will win an Eisner. How about that?
Creator of Sanford Greene.
Hello, everyone. Just like Tom just shared, working on a project.
I'm introducing the panel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ready to jump right in?
Yeah, ready to go.
Next to Sanford, a man who needs no introduction, creator of Blades and Titans and a list of Marvel DC covers that's a mile long, and some of the most revered comics in history, Mr. Marv Wolfman.
Thank you.
And then the creator of Cupid and Long Distance and Loving Capes, and known for his My Little Pony work, renowned artist and writer Thom Zahler.
Hello.
And then finally, the creator of Brothers Bond that we published, my co-creator on Stanley's Genesis, the tabletop game, leader of the Comic Book Bootcamp series, and artist of too many DC titles to name, Ryan Benjamin. Someday next to Ryan, yeah.
Everyone clap anyway. Before this pops up, Ghost Towns.
So, now, Mr. Greene.
Yes.
Talk about your series 1000.
I'm so excited I couldn't contain myself. So 1000 is actually a project that I collaborated with a now deceased friend of mine, Bruce Brown. He was an aspiring writer. So this is pretty much 25 years in the making, and the project is basically about a dragon who is served a punishment for a unspeakable, unforgivable crime in the dragon realm, and he's hurled down to earth to become a human, which is the greatest form of punishment. And he has to commit 1,000 acts of repentance in order to return into his true form. And the project is now on Zoop. If you guys are familiar with that crowdfunding campaign, it's like Kickstarter, but better. Sorry, any Kickstarter people in here. They handle all of the fulfillment.
No, not for you. I'm good with that.
What's happening right now? I was not vetted this information. Anyway, if you would like to support it, please go to Zoop, and I think it's one of the main projects on the main page for that.
And it was the winner of the 2018 Ringo Award for Best Webcomic.
Oh yeah, that too.
All right. So, you got
I have to go, unfortunately.
Write another Eisner. You have to go win another Eisner.
That was last time, man. Last time. Thank you again, guys, for coming.
All right. And just joining us a second ago, the creator of Let's Play in the upcoming Dragon King Health, Leeanne Krecic, who will now tell us about the Kickstarter for the upcoming Let's Play Volume 5, which is pretty much pages up right now. You can follow on Kickstarter. Hi, Leeanne.
Hi. Sorry, I'm in fuego right now. No, I'm good, I'm all right. Yes, so we're going to be having volume 5 soon. That is the standard cover, which is, Sam looks great, in my opinion. It was a sketch I did like 3 years ago, and I was like, I'm going to take an old sketch. I like to use the older art as we're in the back seasons and working out. So I used that and cleaned it up, and now Sam's the standard cover there. There's no shipping on there, so there doesn't need to be any like who's on the front cover, who's on the back. And then the 3 prints over there, I've been feeling very nostalgic for the 80s, and decided to do some pop art, like designs for the naughty prints. Went full into different modes of transportation, and had a lot of fun with it. So I was very excited. That's going to be coming out in a couple weeks.
Yep. And what else is in the campaign that we can announce right now? Second volume of...
Oh yes, we can do the second. So in volume 4 we had the first release of Let's Play After Dark, which is an 18+ collection of short stories about the various pairings of characters. It's very spicy. My friend Riley Noble and I came up with a lot of the designs. She did the writing. I brought the goblin energy to the room, and she came out in volume 1. It was very successful. So we decided, hey, you sold more of your book than my naughty coloring book. Maybe we should do a volume 2. So we're bringing her back for a second volume in volume 5 for the naughty 2.
And then, for those who don't know, this plays in development for an anime series with OLM. Can you tell us how that?
I'm sorry?
So can you tell us a bit about how the production's going?
Production?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The anime, yes. It's been a very exciting process. I'm very grateful for OLM and their eagerness to respect me as a creator. Like a lot of times when these types of media get introduced, it's either we want you involved or we'll get your name right on the check. And it's been very much we want you involved and we want your blessing. So that's been a relief for me thus far. So I'm very excited. Been seeing character designs, been seeing writing and outlines, and I'm very, very excited about it.
And one more slide for you.
Yes.
So these images were revealed just this weekend for the first time on the beat. Can you talk about Dragon King Road, what it is, when it's coming out, and what we're looking at?
So we're taking a hiccup here. So Mama needs to eat. So until I can return to Let's Play, I'm working on another comic called Dragon King Oath. It will be on Manta this fall. And it's basically how it's made it is you take Beauty and the Beast, and you take Pride and Prejudice, and you smash it together and add magic, and you have Dragon King Oath. And the premise is you have a young woman who is a princess in a huge, successful kingdom, very powerful, and she's bound by an ancient pact to this dragon, who's this humanoid gentleman over here with antlers and stag ears and things like that. And they're forced to reside in a castle together in the middle of nowhere, wear a get-along t-shirt, and have to survive the various struggles of being frenemies. So the art in the, with the dragon breathing fire in the background and the king in the foreground, the prologue is told as a storybook. So it really kind of stretched my skills as an artist to try to do a different style. And then we have Captain Chevron, who is the gentleman in the middle. He is the most brave and successful knight in all of the kingdom, and he's captain of her guard. And the gentleman in the far is her king, her father, and he is basically the one who sends her off to be bound to this dragon. So that will be on Manta this fall.
All right. Moving right along. This is just here. This is something that was announced today at the Legendary panel. We are partnered with Legendary on all the Kickstarters. There's a lot of content for them. This is something Robert Danton is publishing there, and I have been talking about for years. So earlier today, they announced the Pacific Rim Final Breach, which is the canonical continuation of the first 2 films, as a series of graphic novels that are kickstarting next Wednesday. So there'll be a whole bunch of exclusive content in there that I don't think we've announced yet, but there'll be 3 books written by Josh Fialkoff and DJ Soot, launching 1 per year for the next 3 years. So there'll be about 300 pages in total, including Pacific Rim Saga. Now it's also coming very soon to Kickstarter.
Yes.
Tom, can you tell us about Long Distance and what it's going to be doing?
So Long Distance was a series I did about 10 years ago, and it's been out of print for way too long. So it's coming back in a new collector's edition. It's going to have a new 20-page story that's going to further the adventures of the characters. It's about a couple in a long-distance relationship, and it uses color to tell the story. So all the scenes that take place in Ohio are green, all the scenes that take place in Illinois are orange, so you always know where the characters are. And I thought it was really interesting when I wrote it to explore the ideas of telepresence and long distance, because so many people meet that way now, because you meet online, or you meet at a convention, as has totally not happened to me before. So I thought it was interesting to deal with texting and Twitter and everything that lets you be in two places at once and always in someone's life, but not in their life. So it's finally coming out. It's going to be a new Kickstarter coming at some undetermined date, unless Tom is going to surprise me with something. But yeah, it'll be available on hardcover and softcover with new content, and it's going to pick up on their story about 10 years later.
So can you tell us a little bit about the new content?
You what?
Can you tell us a little more about the new content?
So it's gonna, I don't want to spoil it. It's going to pick up. They leave in a very particular place where there were a couple and traveling all over the place. So it's going to pick up on where their travels are and if they want to keep living life the way that they're currently living it. I have to come up with a new color because I'm setting it in a very, very exotic location, which I'd love to do the research on, but that's a super expensive trip. So I'm going to do that, and then they find a way to still be together even with all the complexities in their life, because a lot of things have changed. It's been really interesting to come back, and it's one of those things when I thought about doing the collection, I wanted to do a new story, and I wasn't sure exactly what to do, and then all of a sudden, the minute I thought about where they would be in their lives, I just knew the conversation they were going to be having, and why they were having it, and everything that had changed in the 10 years intervening with the story.
And you are also working on something we announced this weekend.
Yes, and I'm drawing Angry Birds. I assume because Tom thought, who is the angriest person I know? And then he took away my coffee and he said, start drawing. So, yes, I am drawing Angry Birds.
So we announced on Thursday a new middle grade series of graphic novels written by three-time Eisner winner Paul Tobin and drawn by Tom, and young readers comic series that will eventually be collected that will launch next year. Written by Kate Cook, artist still to be named. This will launch on Kickstarter imminently. We don't date, but it's going to be very, very soon. All three graphic novels will be available on our first Kickstarter, along with a whole bunch of exclusive merchandise that we're working on right now. And that will be in our Bottlerocket, which I should have put on the top of the slide, but I made this morning. So, also coming from our Bottlerocket imprints is the very first creator-owned book by Mr. Marv Wolfman, Mekk and Me. Marv, can you tell us about Mekk and Me?
Mekk and Me is a project that I've been working on my own for over 20 years, developing it, creating characters, creating storylines, concepts, creating almost an entire new world. It's and I finished the script for it, all 239 pages of it, just a few weeks ago. So it's brand new. I've been wanting to do a all-ages science fiction, adventure, comedy, thriller, anything you can come up with, it's there and it's fun, and I'm so happy with it. I was able to really create a whole bunch of new characters, concepts, and thoughts, and I am so thrilled to be able to get the chance to actually do something I wanted to do that we own.
And that Kickstarter is going to immediately follow the Angry Birds one, also from Bottlerocket. But Mark, can I ask you a quick question before I go to the next slide? So how was your process different in developing Mekk and Me from all the mountain of work?
I have very bad hearing, so I'm going to be translating. When you're working with other people in terms of where it's owned by a company like I'm doing Teen Titans or Crisis on Infinite Earths or Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, all those things, you're working towards a group effort on one project. In this, The beauty of this type of project is that it's totally my feelings, totally my ideas, and I'm able to do exactly the way I want to do it. And it's something that I've been anxious and waiting to do, and this is the project that I decided to put it all in, because as I say, I created it over 20-something years ago, and been working on it and making sure it all functions correctly. It is as I say, all ages. It's about a young boy from another universe, essentially, who finds himself in a situation he has no idea why he's being hunted, not only by the police, but by the criminals, the criminal guild of that galaxy. And it's funny, I hope. And it's adventuresome, and it's a thriller. I'm really, really proud of it.
We're really, really honored to be publishing it. And we don't have an artist name yet, we have an artist. Submit your portfolio to the website. I'm not kidding, it's for the website. For next, Mr. Ryan Benjamin, can you talk about Conquer Bootcamp? And really quickly, just to let people know what it is, what we're publishing, and why all those names are on that slide.
Wow, there's a lot of names. So to get started, Comic Book Bootcamp is a workshop for instructional methods to aid and guide students of the arts who are trying to get into comics or just storytelling or just the whole entertainment vision or field that we all work with. So basically, it started with me having an idea years ago, but I actually pitched it to, you guys don't know, some of you guys don't know who John Nee is, but I pitched it to John Nee years ago. And John was like, that's the best idea you've ever had. And then it just kind of sat on the shelf for like 8 years. And I just never did anything with it until I tested it, and then I saw there was a market for it. And then I approached the first person, who's Will Sportasio, who's up on there. So I approached Will and was like, hey, this is something I want to do. Let's get going, because I knew he had a school that he ran back in the Philippines years ago. So eventually, more and more people started coming on board. I got Alex Sinclair and Will Smith, Carlos Deanna, and so all four of us came together. And then we had some other networks of people behind the scenes to help us put this together. We started this workshop, and we call it Comic Book Bootcamp. And basically, we just basically teach. That's all we do. We teach. But we wanted to do more than just teach. Okay? We wanted to not reinvent, but reinvigorate or take the isms or the energy that was created back in the day when we first started working in comics, because back then, we all worked in this large group. It was a large room, and everyone was sitting in the room, and we were all just building comics. And that, rubbing elbows with people, learning from each other, back and forth, actually seeing each other work as we're producing it, that was a giant bowl of gumbo, I guess you could call it, of artists that's just sitting around, mixing ideas, throwing, and you're gonna learn out of it. So we wanted to recreate that old Image Comics days of us sitting in one room and kind of creating comics, and give people a chance to get a sense or a taste of what it's like to learn from the people who were birthed from that. And part of it was from actually the conventions. So every time we're at conventions, who do we get? We have people coming up to asking us to, hey, can you look at my portfolio? Can you look at this? Can you critique me? Can you do this? So we're constantly getting that. So I decided, let me package this and turn it into something that it's consistent. And instead of you guys waiting to see us once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, turn it into something that's a little bit more consistent. So all these things came together, and that's what basically birthed Conquer Bootcamp. So now I'll break it down into 2 more parts, and then I'll just break it down into 2 more parts. So part of it is the delivery method. How do we deliver it? Since we decided we're going to create a forum where we're going to invite people and we all sit into this workshop for 3 days from 10 in the morning to 10 at night. And all we do is just practice comics. That's it. All day long. We just attack. So people just started loving this, and I'm like, okay, there's something behind this. And we actually have some of the very first students in the class, who've been in the class. They're sitting right here. So this is the alumni right here. So basically, if you guys want to come up and testify about it, so, but that was part of that's part of the entire movement. And we've actually ran a couple of these workshops already, and we're going to run one in New York, and Frank Miller is supposed to be the guest who's going to show up at this one, and he's going to come in and help. I don't want to say too much. Let's just say Frank Miller is going to come after. I don't want to put anything out there. So, but part of it is inviting people, talent, to come in and help coach, okay, with these students. And now we're shifting, not completely shifting it, but we're opening the doors and creating a new branch, and we're creating a book. Actually, it's going to be 4 books. So 4 of these books will be able to teach and coach people. It's meant to be a book that you can take with you wherever you're going. You're going to go on a long trip. You're going to just go hang out with a buddy, or you just sitting under a tree. You just need to have something with you, or going to a library, whatever it is. But it's meant to be a book that you can throw in your backpack and take you to and coach you as you're learning to draw. Because people draw with sketchbooks all the time, but they're by themselves. Okay, and there are a lot of art books out there, but this one here, we're crafting it to be a little bit different than what's out there. It's meant to be a workbook where you get a lesson and then a chance to practice, and then a lesson and then a chance to practice. So one of them is going to be on writing, one is going to be on penciling, one is going to be on inking, the other one is going to be on coloring. So we're trying to get all aspects of comic book creation in there, and it's meant to be rapid practice. Not a full, entire encyclopedia of just reading, and just hoping you get it. These are the actual things that we use every single day. We've broken it down to the point where follow these small little steps, and this is going to help you polish everything that you're trying to do when you're trying to create comics, from penciling to understanding why you're throwing certain lines, why you're doing certain shadows, how your anatomy, and why your anatomy is coming out bad, and how do you fix it, and all these things are all jam-packed in this book. So you're going to get about 400 pages in this book. Am I going too long? Okay, good. So you're going to get about 400, I'm going for another hour on this. Okay, so you're going to get about 400 pages of information in this book, and I'm just happy to have, Marv taking being a participant on this. But if you look at the names up there, Alex Blair, Carlos Yano, Sandra Oh, Richard Frank, David Walker, Kevin Beaver, Sanford Greene, Marv Wolfman, Eric Schultz, Frank Miller, J. Scott Campbell, we're all going to play a role to some point, at some degree in this book, and you'll be learning something from pretty much all of us. We're running a Kickstarter next few weeks, a couple weeks. So we run the Kickstarter, and we're just announcing that these are the things that's coming. And I don't want to say too much, because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, or just plant the seed and it doesn't grow. I'm like, okay, I don't want to say too much. So there might be a couple more names on there. Yeah, there might be a couple more names on there. We didn't announce it yet because we didn't get solid confirmation, but it's been introduced, and there has been dialogue going back and forth, and we'll see where it goes from there. But this is only the start. After this is going to get another 4 after this one. So, and we're going to cover tons and tons and tons. Imagine all the things that you think about when you're drawing a comic, when you're trying to lay out a page, and why do you do this in certain style directions that you're going. Trust me, I'm ready to keep writing right now. So I'm just excited. I hope you pick up on my energy, and I hope you see it in the books when you guys pick up on it and get this. So.
Yeah, and then we're going to have hardcovers and soft covers in the Kickstarter. The retail tiers in the Kickstarter too, so retailers can get it early. Then the books will be released one at a time to retail, starting in 2025. While I have Ryan here, just want to reiterate this, even though it's already Kickstarted, we can make practice. I'll talk about it for a second. Ryan will chat about it, but this is our first tabletop game. It's under our T-10 label. We kickstarted it, I don't remember when. We've been in production for a while. We have the prototype actually with us, and it's essentially for gamers in here, it's a tile-based game with resource management and character interaction. So if you play Carcassonne with a 10 and like a super old deep cut, something like Talisman, kind of layered into the superhero universe, and it's meant to kind of honor Stan's legacy, and the players are taking the role of creating the universe every time. There's tile building, the map's going to be different every single time you play. Ryan and I spent the better part of 2 years creating about 200, over at this point, 203 characters that are in the game, and 100 in the core box, and another 100 spread out with expansion sets. They're fantastic, it's very evocative, Marvel DC, but he did a very kind of deep dive into how conflict groups come together over time. So you have characters from ancient mythology all the way up to modern day, and the characters that they without it being play. Every character has their own special case mechanics and powers, and they fight with each other. There's different abilities, and you have a power meter where it goes up to 20 or 15. You get great power, great responsibility, and then you have a token that you have to use to help out the other players in the game as a balancing mechanic. So it's been a ton of fun. We just brought it to Gamma, where actually Tom and Leeanne again as well for the tabletop games that we're launching later this year and into next year. And this was we've done this all throughout the year. Did I miss anything around on this?
This game, it was pretty intense developing the characters. Luckily, you're getting me. When I started working on this, I was in the realm of working on the Marvel Snaps game. So I was already in the process or the mindset of, hey, I got a concept and design all these things. 200 characters, right?
Yeah, it was 200 first.
Yeah, so that's a lot of drawings, a lot of designing. Imagine, designing multiple characters a day, and you're coming up with this every single day, just coming up with characters. It took some time, a lot of back and forth. It took about 6 months or so for us to finish all 200. More than that, it was somewhere around there, because we had to get it colored and everything. So, and then after that, we had everything. We just kind of looked at this massive universe of all these characters that we just designed. It was, to me, it was just an honor just working on something that had Stan Lee's name attached to it, and just to, just feel like I'm participating in this new movement that was birthed, in that direction from Stan. So, it's amazing for me, honestly, just to be in there. Thanks, Tom, for getting me in on this stuff.
Yeah, I don't know any other artists who have drawn this fast as you. So,
I'm a beast.
Pretty incredible.
Ready to go right now.
There's some other guest artists in there, just on some spot illustrations and variant covers, like Holly Duran, people are familiar with, some Tom Akel in there. Who else did it? Hasbro did a piece on some of the pulp characters. I'm blanking on who else we have art from, but they're all a bunch of artists over at the stand up past as well. Some like great people. And so just teasing this. Kids know. I'm not going to say what this is. Just look for this on Kickstarter later this year from us. And that's it. If anybody really wants to go back, if you're feeling it. But at this point, if anybody wants to ask questions, there's a mic right there. You can raise hands. It's, I think the acoustics is here pretty good. Okay.
My question's for Leeanne. It's been a long time waiting for season 4 for Let's Play. Is there
So I had signed an NDA, and I couldn't talk about the contractual obligations, but Webtoon did come out publicly and state that their exclusivity contracts are 3 years. So I cannot return until 3 years are up from the last time I updated Let's Play. So that will not be until next year.
Yeah, next September. New York Comic Con, we announced that next September in some form Let's Play will return. But Dragon King of
Yeah, so I'll be working on Dragon King until then, and so I will have content. We'll also have Everdate, which we're getting close to the open beta, and Everdate is based on Let's Play. It has 12 characters from the Let's Play comic that are there. There are 35 different pairing options. So like, if you want to know what it's like for Charles to date Angela, this is your opportunity. Visual novel-wise, I'm writing it, and also Riley Noble, who wrote Let's Play After Dark, is also working on it. It's probably going to be over 1 million words when it's all said and done. I don't even know what the sun looks like until I came out here, because I've been writing it so much and doing other stuff, working on Dragon King Oath. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Let's Play while we wait, but contracts are contracts, unfortunately. So.
Sure.
For Dragon King,
Yes.
is it friends? Is it enemies to lovers? Or
Spoilers.
well,
so yes. I mean, basically the pretense is the Dragon King Oath in this kingdom is over 1,000 years ago, a king and a dragon went to war, and many people were dying, many dragons were dying. And to end the war, the dragon and the king agreed on an oath. The king sacrificed his daughter to the dragon, and the dragon agreed to defend the kingdom from that point forward. And it ended the war. Since then, there's a magic that's imbued in the oath that a king at any point in time, if they find out a dragon is living in his kingdom, can then invoke the oath through his daughter, and the dragon is now bound to protect that kingdom, but the princess is now the dragon's. So the problem with the story when it picks up, and that's been going on for over 1,000 years, nobody knows what happens to the princesses. They just know, like, oh, she was sacrificed and the kingdom was safe. But in the current story that we're reading now, the princess is like, originally the king, her father goes, well, my youngest daughter is sickly. She probably won't even live to adulthood. So before she passes away, she can be a good sacrifice to this kingdom, and I will give her to this dragon. But Lisette, who is the main character, says, no. I am the firstborn. I will do it in her place. And so she goes forward, goes to the dragon, presents him with the oath, and says, I am here to invoke the oath, my right as princess of the kingdom. And the dragon goes, cool, don't let the doors hit you where the good Lord split you. I am not interested. So it's basically like, okay, I don't give a care, like, leave. And so there's magic involved, and they're basically forced to be together, and they're absolutely enemies at the start. And they learn, I use Pride and Prejudice and Beauty and the Beast because everybody always makes the beauty the woman, but in this case it's actually the man. And the beast is the woman because she's prejudiced against dragons. She has this hostility towards them, and she learns that maybe people are actually the monsters in the story. So I'm really excited about it, Manta's really excited about it, and I'm hoping people get really excited about it.
If there's anybody else with questions, if you want to line up the mic, you can. Otherwise, I'll just start throwing questions to the panelists about the weather and what they have for breakfast.
I had a quiche, it was excellent.
Hawaiian omelet?
Yeah.
For the comic book camp, what is your age requirement to be part of that?
So the class, the books present.
Oh, okay. The youngest student we had was 13. There's only one. I think we had maybe, how many did we have? Maybe two of them. So about 13. Me personally, I try not to go lower than that because, kids were 8, 9 years old. you gotta teach them slightly differently from someone who's a little bit older. Me, as an instructor myself, I'm probably the toughest one out of the bunch. So I'm ready to crush some souls. And I just don't want to crush an 8-year-old, or a 7-year-old. So I feel like at that age, that's when you plant the seeds, and then you just kind of just let them grow and just let them explore and do what they need to do and make all the mistakes, and don't really try to correct them, and just keep pushing them in a certain direction. But then when you get older, that's when you're like, okay, look, we need to start tightening up some of the things you've been exploring. So that's why I try to not to go below 13, somewhere around there. But most of the students, which we've had a couple hundred already, that's been to our school, so most of the students, they're a lot older. They're in the 20s. We've had old folks, either grade, old in wheelchairs who are like taking the class. So art is something you never stop learning. When I'm 90 years old, I'm always going to learn anyway myself, so I'm expecting it from everyone. So, but most of the age group is in that middle age, 20 to 40, and then somewhere in that age. 20-year-old middle age.
So then I'll ask a question, because I've seen, Marv, your writing workshop panel that you've done at WonderCon, I went to the last couple of years. So that's going to be part of the Combo Bootcamp writing book. Without teaching the class right now, what can you tell us about your character matrix and how you use that in developing characters and how that applies to conflict development? Because that's going to be a part of the workbook.
So many of the writing courses, or whether it's at conventions or in universities, whatever, are telling you what to do once you start writing and you're trying to figure out how to plot or something like that. What I realized is that a lot of people don't even have the slightest idea how to begin thinking about what they want to do. They don't understand all the things they have to set up before you can actually do writing. And what I wanted to do was conduct a class, what to think about before you start writing. How do you develop your ideas? How you get it set for a novel or a comic or whatever, and understand how to develop the characters, how to develop the storyline, how to develop all this before you actually start writing itself. Because once you're writing and committing, you should be in an exploring stage, and you should be trying different things, but you have to know the questions to ask. A lot of people want to know how you start, and I found nobody was talking about that whatsoever. And having been in the business for 55 years now, or something like that, I wanted to be able to explain how I start thinking about every story, how I start thinking about every character, how every character has to work with all the other characters, how you develop the thinking process for each character so that you have empathy for the people that you're creating, even if they're the villains or the heroes or whatever. You should be able to get into their heads, and that's essentially what I talk about, and make it possible for you then to take what I've done and then go over and know how to start to write your own material. It's not good to start talking about the intricacies of type plotting and all of this stuff if you don't even know who the character is, if you haven't worked any of that stuff out. So I wanted to start on the low level and prepare you for the type of story that you want to write.
Yeah, because I've been to that class a couple of times, and I read some books, and instantly made me a better writer just by seeing how to approach it the way Mark approaches it. And it was one of the first things Ryan talked about when we decided to put these into a book series. I was like, all right, have you seen what Mark's teaching? Because that has to go into the writing book.
I have a question for Marv, too. Marv, when you are working with artists, or the artists you have worked with, Are you given details of your script on what to draw, or are you thumbnailing for them? How do you collaborate with your artist when creating the book? And was there an artist that you feel like you gelled with the best?
I've been very fortunate over the years. I've been working with the best artists in the business. And the first thing, I always sit down with any artist that I'm working with, whether they're new or they're George Perez, or Gene Colan, or John Buscema, or any of those people, is I ask them what they like. What do they want to draw? What are they thinking about? What have they been interested in doing? Because if I can give them that, find a way to take my story with what they're interested in, they're going to work even harder. And I'm going to work harder because we're all enjoying what we're doing. So the trick for me is work with the artist as a partner. Come in with your ideas. At Marvel, a lot of the writers do something called the Marvel style back then, but the Marvel style was one-page plot. I came over from DC and I plotted every single page, but I didn't do all the dialogue and I didn't do all the storytelling until it was necessary to do it. You know, wasn't doing the full script for a lot of them because they didn't want it, but some artists wanted the full script. So you develop, I think the trick to working with anyone is find out what they want, find out what they like, and then figure out how to combine the two so both of you are really happy. I've had more artists say, "You're actually asking me what I like?" They honestly are usually ignored. And they were so happy that I was able to create a story for them that they would like to do, and that I want them to do as well. So work with your creator, work with your partner, because you may come up with the ideas, but they're going to make it they're going to bring life to it. They're going to make it something that you go, oh wow, I didn't expect that. That's going to be so cool. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So, in all of your various bodies of work, and all of you have one particular character who's more near and dear to your hearts than the rest, and what is it about that character that is so special to you?
Did you guys all hear that?
You know, that's like asking who's your favorite kid. You try to create characters that you bring all your thoughts to, bring all your ideas to. So you tend to like even the worst villains because you've turned them into a human being rather than being a mustache-twirling character. So I tend to like my characters, and I really work hard on character creation. And that's one of the things that I do in my speeches, is how do you create a character, and how do you know how this character thinks about that character, and what that character thinks back about what you've done. So you really need to do that. You know, I don't know what else to say. I don't want to ever say this is my favorite character, because tomorrow this is my favorite character, and that's my favorite character, and that's what, you know, I like a lot of them. Occasionally, they don't work, and those out.
I play favorites. I mean, it really just comes down to, like, what the energy is. I mean, like, there are characters that I have that I love to draw more than others. I have characters I love to write more than others. I have characters I love to put in challenging situations more than others, and good situations more than others. So to say I have a favorite, I don't think I could say I have one individual that I would say, this is my character. But I have, like, characters that I feel is ones I prefer for different situations and in different settings. And some days that switches out, because when you do a romance, it's not just like action where people need to be cool and do cool things and look great and all this. I'm not trying to sympathize action comics at all. It's just, with romance, they still have to have an underlying level of attraction. And so I have characters like Charles, who has to look great all the time, and takes me twice as long as to draw as, say, Sam's dad, who doesn't have to look great ever. So that's definitely, I always joke about Charles' big dumb face, but I still love him, but I also kind of hate him at times too. So.
For me, I'll keep it short. I'm a Batman fan. I can't lie. Batman is near to my heart. I just love drawing that character. I love everything about him, from his stories to what he looks like. In fact, after this, I'm going to go meet up with the creator or the owner of Batman right after this. But I actually need, I would say, Brother Vaughn. Out of all the IPs that I've created, that was probably the most challenging for me, because the style of the characters is not my home style. It's not something I normally do. So it was a challenge, but I figured it out. And just the creation process of it made me fall in love with the characters. So Brothers Vaughn, the main character's name is Yoshi, and then he has Sato and Tanaka, who are these two blind samurai guards who protect him. And it's just, to me, that's the coolest thing on the planet, because it's like Ninja Scroll and all the cool animes that you've seen if you grew up, watching, all that kind of meshed together. So actually, Sword of a Stranger, I don't know if you guys know that animation, but that's like one of my favorite, so I love that genre, that Japanese lore, and I just dig it,
There's part of it that's always whatever character I'm currently writing, because you have to be a fan of that character to write them. Because when you work on My Little Pony, you get that question all the time. Who's your favorite pony? And it's always whichever one I'm currently writing, or Pinkie Pie, because she's awesome. And my characters, I love them all, and I love them all for different reasons, but in Love and Capes, which is a superhero romantic comedy about a superhero who says, I love my girlfriend and I'm going to tell her that, but if I tell her that, I have to tell her everything. She has a sister named Charlotte, and she is probably my favorite. I'm the most protective of her. She has never had a boyfriend in the run of the series who lasted, because I've never been able to create someone worthy of him, or worthy of her to be her boyfriend, until I kind of thought, well, what if Paul Rudd joined the cast? So yeah, she's my favorite. Nothing phases her. She meets all these superheroes and she doesn't care. She's unflappable. She's really crunchy on the inside and broken in all the ways that I can relate to. Yeah, she's my favorite.
I got the last question signed. I don't know if that means we get one more question or if that was the last question.
Well, I have a question for you guys, if that's okay. We have one last question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it.
Gentlemen, I have a question. What do you do to get the spark back?
To get the spark.
The spark back. To do this. To do comics.
Mine's just short. I just take breaks. I take a lot of breaks. Sometimes I'll when I'm drawing at my art table, something just kicks in and I'm like, I'm going to go draw on the beach. So I just go to the beach with my drawing boards and I'm sitting looking at the ocean and drawing, just to change the scenery. But to me, your surroundings is sort of like the bread box that you use to build stuff from. So surround yourself around stuff that's going to inspire you and get your brain free, and that's for me. That's it for me.
I built a room in my house that was different than every other room, so that there'd be a sense memory every time I walked into it that was different, so my brain clicks over to work mode. So that keeps me working, and then it's not the only reason I have them, because we actually like each other, but my friends keep me grounded and keep me, when I see them go to work, and I don't, Like, there's a real sense of appreciation. Like, I got into, one of the phones I had with this one woman I was dating, she was upset that I did so many conventions because she taught, and then when we were near breaking up, she says, well, I don't like that you do these conventions during the summer because that's when I can take off. And I'm like, I haven't had a scheduled vacation time in 15 years. That doesn't occur to me. I don't know what this is like anymore. Like, see, I have a very rarefied, awesome life. And I know that. And seeing how the things other people have to do keeps me appreciating that and keeps me protecting that and making sure that flame keeps going, because I like the things that come with it. I'm incredibly lucky and fortunate to do what I do, and I want to make sure that I keep that going. And coffee.
I always try to come up with a challenge for each story, something that I hadn't thought about before, and see if I can make it work, because that gives me a new goal that I hadn't thought about before. And if I can come up with a character that does something I didn't expect or whatever else, it invigorates me because it goes, okay, I've come up with a new idea. Let's see if we can make it work. Let's explore it. And that to me is the fun part of writing, is sitting there and coming up with something you never had thought before, and it brings some life to the story, a line of dialogue, whatever it is. It's something that just makes you excited about the story itself. Since every story is going to be different, you can always find something in a story that's brand new that you had never thought about before, because you had never been exactly in that place before in the story.
Alright, that's all the time we have. I got the stop sign. Just before we wrap up, if anybody wants to see us on the show floor, we are at 32707. We have Tom and Ryan's and Leeanne's books down there. Marv is in PO2, correct? Tom is 2000, is his booth. And Ryan is 4702?
4207.
4207. The number's pretty good. Yes. Off the top of my head. So again, thank you all for coming. Thank you so much to our panelists.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves a republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if you put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No regard for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If they won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf if they won't tell